Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel for another Flea Market Finds episode. This is going to feature items that I picked at the Brimfield Flea Market Summer Show 2023. And let's get right into it. Here's a lot of stuff that I put together from a dealer. I've got this pile for 25 bucks. Picked up this genuine Swiss Army knife. My son kind of collects these, so when I can pick them up cheap, I buy them. Only the genuine ones. And this is a genuine one, and it's in pretty good shape, and I don't think he has too many black ones. You tend to always find them in red. So that. This interesting little torque wrench, it's 1/4-inch drive. It's a Proto 4749, so it's actually a pretty good quality wrench, and it does seem to work perfectly fine. I did do a test on it. It does click. Of course, I don't know exactly. I don't have a torque meter. And then these two little vices. This one here, still got the original decal on it, which is kind of neat. A lot of the original paint still intact. Looks like it says Dependable Tool, Manufacturing, USA, and then it says Solar. And it's got the sun with the rays. Some duct tape residue on here. Judging from the fact that there's so much of the fibers from the duct tape stuck in the jaws, it almost appears like somebody tried to make non-marring jaws. That's exactly what they did. They tried to make non-marring jaws by having duct tape on here. And this is a really early looking one. Unfortunately, it's missing the handle down here where it would have clamped on. It's got the original spring, so it's kind of designed like a miniature version of a blacksmith's leg vise. And this, I've seen this design before. I think this was widely used design. Seen these, I think, in some early catalogs. Kind of a neat old vise. So I may never end up being able to attribute the manufacturer to this vise, but just thought it was kind of neat. These next three items right here I bought together. They're kind of a very interesting bit of CB radio history. Kind of an oddity. So I actually saw these back in spring, and the same dealer was back at the summer show in the same location, and he brought them with him again. And this time I decided to just make an offer on them. Crazy low offer of $5 for the three. And I told him, I said, you know, I don't even know what they are, and to be completely honest, I really am only buying them for these octal plugs. So I actually didn't realize now that I look at them, they're not even octal. These are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. These are 11 pin. Yeah, these are 11 pin plugs. So that makes them kind of weird. You can see how at a quick glance I thought they were octals. The common 8 pins that are used in a lot of situations, like on the back of the Browning radios, for those of you who are CB geeks like me. Anyways, so I bought these things just for the plugs, and I've recently did a little research and found out what these are. So obviously they are Lafayette Privacom 2s. Now, what I didn't know was what the heck a Privacom 2 was for. I actually thought this was for a business radio. Some kind of a two-way radio, like, you know, the old, before we had cell phones, trucking companies and that, dispatch would have their own business radio frequencies that were nowhere near the CB frequencies that they could use. This is kind of like along that line, but this is actually designed to be used with certain mobile and base Lafayette solid-state radios that were made in the late 60s. So I actually found a brochure from 1966 that actually showed these boxes in there, brochure. These sold for a whopping $32.50 back in 1966. So these were not cheap little accessories for your radio. So adjusted for inflation, $32.50 in 1966 is equivalent to $307.69. So there's very little information online about this system. Oh, I didn't even realize there was a magnetic microphone holder on there. That's cool. Anyways, I think I figured out what these actually did. So they have the illusion of sounding like they have some sort of like encoder or private conversation ability, but that's not really the way they work. The way they work, from what I gather, is if you have a mobile or base radio Lafayette model that this is plugged into, or there actually was a conversion kit so you could convert any solid state radio from, I guess, that era to work with one of these. What would happen is the speaker would be muted on your radio, and that's if you had this switch in speaker mode, it would mute the speaker on your radio. If you pressed this down to call, it would key the transmitter, and it would transmit a dual tone that the receiver that you wanted to pick up your signal would receive that dual tone and unmute the speaker on the receiver at the other end. So think of it almost like, you know how you could turn your squelch up on your radio and it kills all the background audio? Well, imagine if you had a squelch on your radio that would only open and let audio come through if it came through with a specific tone in front of it. So that's basically how this worked. Furthermore, it went as far as to allow you to put this in horn mode, and then what would happen is if you were away from the radio and the station that was trying to contact you transmitted the tone and the receiver picked up the tone, this little box would sound a horn for 1 second, which would be, I don't know where the horn came from. I guess maybe that's what these two screws in the back are for. Not quite sure. But the idea would be if you were out of the office, say you were working in the shop or whatever, and at a trucking company, and you had this wired up, you could have horns in the shop that would blast and tell you, hey, you better get back to the radio because somebody's trying to call you. So kind of a interesting idea. I think it was very unique to Lafayette, and maybe it never took off. Although I did find in the 1968 catalog they came out with the Privacom 3 and the Privacom 5, and then they had something I think called the Privacom 10 that was had a whole bank of buttons so you could select specific. So if you were the base, say you were the dispatcher in a trucking company, if you wanted to send out a tone and turn on the speakers in the receivers on just specific trucks, you could do it. So that's what these things are. I have no idea if they really even have any value today. I don't know if there's any collectors that would want them or what. So most likely I'm just going to stick with keeping them for parts. Unfortunately, that's kind of an unusual plug, so I can't imagine what I'm going to use that for. And then, well, we get a potentiometer in there, and there must be a circuit board in there that generates the little code. As a matter of fact, just for the heck of it, who wants to see what's in this thing? I'm going to assume that you guys were screaming, yeah, open it up, Steve. So the 4 feet screws out for the feet in the bottom. I figured that would make this want to pop out. Yep, all right. So you're probably wondering, well, what did $32.50 buy me back in 1966, Steve? Well, that hasn't been out in a long time, if ever. Oh. Love these old circuit boards they used in these units. All hand soldered, you can tell. It's a whole nother world.
how we made things. Vibratrol, 1964 copyright on that circuit board. Yeah, I'm noticing this brown wire that goes out to auxiliary is clearly going over to the switch on the side of the position that says horn, so I think I'm right about that's to trigger the horn. What the heck is this device down here? I'm wondering what this little gray thing is. It looks like almost like a bulb plugged into a socket, like a bi-pin bulb, but it's got some kind of gray coating on it. It's got kind of scratches on it from where this resistor was touching it, I guess, maybe, I don't know. So I am genuinely impressed by the fact that I do not see any solid state devices in this thing. There's no chip in here. I don't even see any transistors. This is really a little baffling. Huh. Oh, here we go. Tone code modification. All right, it says the encoder decoder is shipped from the factory with reads 3 and 5 connected, and generally you won't have to change it. And then it goes on to say, but if there's somebody else on the channel that's using the same 2 tones, you can actually change the connection. There's 10 different code combinations with 5 read frequencies are available. The selection of the 2 reads is used to determine the tone code of the unit. All right, well, that's enough of that. Let's move on. So these next items I put together this pile for 15 bucks, but I think I may have ended up adding this later for like another 5. So let's get to these first. This is just a another one of these automatic screwdriver deals, you know, where you do this kind of thing, like the Yankee. I don't remember if this, yeah. So this is a, yeah, it's a Yankee spiral ratchet screwdriver, and looks like originally it was supposed to come with 5 bits. I see 3 in there. So this knife is a Precise brand Deer Slayer Limited, and it says on it on the back here that it's stainless, 440 stainless, Japan. So I thought that actually seems like it might be a pretty decent quality knife. It's got some serious rubbing here on the handle. It's not a folding knife, so originally it probably had a holster, but I actually found one of these sold on eBay not that long ago in very similar condition to this, with the scratches on it like that, and you know, the handle not so great, for 30 bucks. Not bad. Seems like it's got a pretty nice edge on it right now, though. Anyways, moving along. And then I got not one but 2 of these things that I've never seen before with the original boxes. This one, on the end of the box, it says, looks like it says S100, and there's no markings on the outside of the tool to indicate who makes it. It's got a, it's like a ratchet driver. I'm sorry, not a ratchet. It's almost like a, just a driver for sockets, right? It's got this head with these detents, so you can lock it in these different positions, so you can really get some leverage on it and then use it more like a screwdriver, right? And I wouldn't know who made it except for the fact that the sockets are in the handle, and all the sockets are marked Hallowell. So it's Hallowell. So there's a full set of sockets inside the handle. So I don't really know if these have much value. I just thought they were kind of neat. I'm only into them for about 5 bucks each. And here's the 1/4" drive version of it. This one's quite a bit more scratched up. Looks like it's seen a lot more use. And this has got a 75 on it, so I'm going to guess this is the, what was this called? The S100. This is probably the S75. Well, I was able to find the number 75 here online, and it does come with 5 sockets. And at first I thought, oh, bummer, I'm missing one. But look, that's inside the other one there. So it looks like we've got all of them. Oh, and judging from the listings on eBay, I also was able to find out that these are about as popular as the bubonic plague. Next up, I bought something I don't normally buy, but got it from the guy who had the Lafayette pieces that I got so cheap, and he was so reasonable on pricing, so I decided to take a chance and bought these 3 vintage pipes. So this is almost like a willow branch that's been hollowed out, and it's got this interesting little brass cover. And then this one here is more, I guess, just like kind of like a regular, less ornate version. It's got a real Inspector Clouseau look to it. I don't know. Or Sherlock Holmes. I don't know. And this one was the best of the 3, and what I really, of the 3 of them, this is the one I was so excited about. Unfortunately, I accidentally broke the mouthpiece off on this one. The reason why I thought this one was so neat was because it's the smallest of the 3, and it's this figural head, a woman's head. So she's got this really elaborate hairdo with flowers carved into it and everything. Just thought that was a really neat looking piece, but I think I may have really done a number on the value of this thing. If it did have any significant value, I think I really did a number on it by breaking that off. And then I also picked up this radio. At first I was like, oh, that's cool if that radio is what's in there. Pocket 6 transistor GE radio. Open it up and I said, oh, great. And then I looked at it a little bit more closely and I realized, oh, that's not the radio that belongs in the box. This is a Stanbrook, S-T-A-N-B-R-O-O-K-E 6 transistor radio, which is a riot because what was in here was a 6 transistor radio. So it's the Hi-Fi Deluxe. It's got the little plastic carrying case, which is kind of neat. Now I don't know whether or not this little earpiece, if you guys have never seen this style of earpiece before, this was very common back in the day that came with these radios, these little stuck it in one ear because they were all mono, it wasn't stereo. This one's got a little extra metal hook on it to hook it over your ear so it doesn't fall out as easy, which is kind of neat, and it's never been used by the way it's coiled up. I think that might be original to the radio that came in here. And then I believe this manual is also, yeah, this is an original GE manual. So unfortunately this is just the part of the manual that has the authorized service facilities and parts distributors list, and then there's nothing else in the box here, so there's no, so I don't even know what the I don't even know what model radio originally was supposed to have come in this box other than the photograph on the box. So I've found virtually no information on this particular radio. Stanbrook radios in general don't seem to be very popular as far as information on the internet. Chances are this was probably imported by some other company under this name, sold as maybe a cheap alternative to radios at the time. Why these radios were so important in the 1950s and into the 60s was this became a way for, you know, guys that might be working in the factory to be able to stay tuned in to news, listen to the ball game while at work, that kind of stuff. Even a little bit of music, you know. Prior to this, music just wasn't portable. The radio wasn't portable. It was a big thing you lunked around, you know, and you weren't going to lug that thing into the job site. This, put in your shirt pocket, inconspicuously, you could have the, you know, earpiece in your ear and go about your work. Alright, moving right along. You know, recently I talked about that I've kind of cooled off on buying these little hand vices like this. But this one I paid 15 bucks for, a little out of my comfort zone. But it's got a couple of things going for it that I liked. I like the condition, the size. It's got this little fine adjust wheel here to clamp it down. And I believe this might even be a bicycle spoke wrench. And I think I figured that out because it has this notch on the back here. So I think that hooks over the spoke and then you turn it. And this is clearly marked with a manufacturer, which a lot of these, when I get them, they're not. And it's marked at Dudley. Same town that I live in, but different spelling. It's D-U-D-L-Y. And I can't make out what else it says underneath it, but then there's also a patent date of 94. And I know it's not 1994, which means this is 1894 is the patent date. And from the same guy, I ended up getting this no-name bevel-edged square for $5. Just double checking, but yeah, I didn't see any indication anywhere on it of who made that. From another dealer, I ended up getting these two pieces here. This is a, underneath all this dirt and grime, it does say that this is a Starrett, I believe. And I take that back. Actually, all it says is case hardened. It does have that interesting case hardening you see on a lot of the Starrett clamps, but it just says case hardened. All right. But I got that and this for $4, so I'm into these for $2 a piece. Some of you may not know what that is. That is a riser extension for a Starrett jack screw. This is the Starrett jack screw that belongs to. Oh, actually, this is the next size down. Oh, this is for the smaller one, the harder to find one. Oh, interesting. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, this is the Starrett jack screw I just showed you, which is the typical one you find, and this is the harder to find smaller size. And that is what this extension fits. So that's great. I'll keep that with my precious. And another dealer had these two little magnifiers here, and I was pleased to have him tell me he only wanted $5 for the pair of these things. So these are just marked folding magnifier, 10 power. I don't know if these have ever been used, but they're loops with little aluminum covers. So these are really handy to have for looking at things like coins and jewelry and stuff like that. Don't know why they're red and blue. They're both the same magnification, so they are marked India, so they're not high quality, but I mean, for $2.50 each, why not? And then I normally don't buy micrometers that much anymore because I have so many of them, and I couldn't resist. Found this micrometer with the phone cancer problem, which makes it look like heck. But what's in here is actually a very nice 4 to 5 inch Mitutoyo that works perfectly. The lock works, the ratchet works, comes with the standard and the wrench in the original case, and it's a tenths. So the resolution is 0.0001 on this micrometer, which is evident by the fact that you've got these vernier lines on the side right here. So that is actually a pretty nice mic for $10. Even got some paperwork in the box with it. I guess we'll call this video a wrap at this point, and in the next video I will feature the items I picked up when I return to the flea market a couple more days later in the week. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing. If you like the video, please hit the like button, and if you haven't already done so, share the video. It helps me out. Thank you.